All right, well, good evening once again and welcome. We're so glad you guys are here with us on this Monday. And let me be the first to tell you happy Thanksgiving. Got a short holiday week here, but I'd like to go ahead and call to order the regular monthly meeting of the Cape Girardeau Board of Education. It is Monday, November 25th, and the time is 6:07. Thank you for your patience this evening. Let the record show that all board members are present this evening, and please rise as we pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Up first, we have to approve the agenda. Board, you have the agenda in front of you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Cook and Mr. Welker, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The agenda carries. Thank you. Up first, we have recognitions, and we have a lot to celebrate here tonight. Up first, my favorite, Terrific Tigers. Each building in the district selects a student based on service to others, leadership, and scholarship. So we recognize these students every month. And as we read these names, as Mr. Cook reads these names, parents, don't be afraid to stand up as well. Come take your picture, and we appreciate you just as much in this process as the student.
Alma Schroeder Elementary, Evan Carter, second grade son of Olivia and Adam Carter. Evan is a dedicated and hardworking student who consistently demonstrates kindness and respect towards his peers and teachers. He approaches challenges with a positive attitude, always eager to learn and grow. Evan's strong sense of responsibility and willingness to collaborate make him a valued member in the classroom, and his enthusiasm for learning inspires those around him. Blanchard Elementary, Shanzai Khan, second grade daughter of Sharish Daib and Sajad Ali. Shanzai brightens a classroom with her energy, passion, and focus. She irradiates joy, which sparks a light in others. She is loved and revered by all of her classmates and teachers. She has every quality that a teacher could desire in a student. Congratulations, Shanzai. Clifford Elementary, Patience Benford, fourth grade daughter of Princess Bruce. Patience is always ready to participate in class and works hard to learn all she can. She's a good helper and is a great example for other students. She has a bright future, and we are lucky to have her at Clifford Elementary. Keep up the great work, and congratulations. Franklin Elementary, Ashton Turner, second grade son of Lakeia Turner. Ashton is a great role model for everyone. He demonstrates great choices every single day. He's a very hard worker that gives his best effort in everything he does. He is kind to everyone and will go out of his way to help others. He is very deserving of this honor. Way to go, Ashton. Jefferson Elementary, Gunnar Bailey, second grade son of Woody Osborne and Samantha Bailey. Gunnar is a hard-working and respectful student. He always sets an excellent example for all students. Gunnar is kind to his classmates, always helping when needed, and respects others' ideas and feelings. His positive attitude makes him a joy to have in class. Congratulations, Gunnar, for being Jefferson's terrific Tiger. Central Middle School, Charis Cheek, 6th grade daughter of Christina and Brett Cheek. Sorry, Charis. Charis Cheek has gone above and beyond in creating a positive and inclusive environment within our school community. Whether through acts of kindness, responsibility, or helping peers, she has consistently displayed the qualities of a true leader. Congratulations, Charis, on this well-deserved recognition. Terry W. Kitchen Junior High, Wesley Radke, 8th grade son of Ashley and Kyle Radke. Wes is an outstanding gentleman who consistently works hard to show the world a version of himself that embodies all the values of a dedicated student. He practices perseverance, respect, integrity, discipline, and empathy on a regular basis. Congratulations, Wes. Central High School, Caitlin Hill, 12th grade daughter of Jessica and Jason Hill. Caitlin is a quiet student leader who leads by example. Caitlin is a calm, welcoming person who loves a good, civil, and thought-evoking discussion. Her gentle mindfulness makes her beloved by her peers and the faculty and staff at CHS. Central Academy, Abigail Thompson, 12th grade daughter of Millie Thompson. All right, then going back to October, Central Middle School, Karis McBride. And Central Academy, Deontay Edom. That's all of them.
All right, picture time. So you three, you four can be here first. Take one line right here. Come on up here too. Scoot over. Right at the camera. There you go. A little bit more. Awesome. There we go.
I like it. Safety first.
All right, well, we do have some other recognitions, and with that, I'm going to turn over to Dr. Binion.
We had some wonderful recognitions last month, and so actually this month. So we're really excited to honor our Cape Central High Cheer Squad. They performed extremely well earlier this month at the Class 4A State Cheerleading Competition in Columbia. Our ladies Tigers took second place this year. We know how hard and excited to have the chance to honor and celebrate them today. Congratulations to Coach Womble, who is also giving us directions. I'm back. And the team, Coach Womble, we would love to invite you guys up and just say a couple words about the competition, if you don't mind. Come on up, Coach Womble. Girls, too, you're going to come up, too. We're going to take a picture.
That's right.
Just one more to speak first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Show us the cheer, ladies.
I will have. Oh, okay. I'm going to go ahead and give the mic over to our competition coach, Coach Ritchie, and let him talk about the state.
All right.
Can you use it so the people at home can hear you? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yes.
That's not a problem.
We've got 12,000 online attendees.
You're in. I did not have a speech plan, so this is going to be just kind of, not really a whole lot to say. I have an incredibly hardworking group of athletes on this competition team. Just incredibly great strides from last year's program to this year's program. there's really not much to say. They went out and they worked incredibly hard all season and put a great routine on the mat at state. And they got into a placement that I think all of us were very, very thrilled with. So not really much on this end. I just had to wrangle them and point them in the right direction. They're the ones that deserve the recognition. So.
Now Jared's going to lead him in a cheer.
We'll ask Dr. Vinny to.
Hold Jared.
Jared's the flyer.
You should do a toe touch.
Are we going to split?
Addie, don't run off yet, everyone.
Not here.
Oh, she's not here. That's right. That's right. Well, we're gonna give this honor to Casey because we know that he worked really hard with the cheer part of it. Could you show us her jump, please? Casey, I know you've been. No, I don't want to spot you. So, Addie had another outstanding showing at the All-State Cheer Meet for the third year in a row. Adeline was All-State in an individual competition this year, and it was jumps. And are you going to show us the jump that she did, or?
You have a video or something.
Yeah, no, we want you to do it for us. You want me to? Oh, we want to record this.
A reenactment?
Well, congratulations to her and congratulations to the cheer team as well. I know how hard you guys have been working this year. So, go Tigers. Next, we have Phineas Thiel. Is Phineas here? I don't see him.
Yeah, he's here.
There he is.
Oh, there he is. Appearing as a
Another state winner that we want to recognize as well. He broke a state record on the way to 2 state titles at the Missouri Class 1 state swim meet. Finn took home wins in the 50-yard, freestyle, and 100-yard butterfly. Coach Powell, do you care to talk a little bit about how hard he works every day?
Did you all get the video of his fly? I thought I sent that somewhere. Okay.
Have it, but I think we had a hard time loading it.
Okay. Well, Mrs. Thiel has it YouTube video. So
It's only 44
could
seconds
you
long,
maybe,
guys.
Rachel,
We
could
should
maybe
be
do that? I'll start talking.
43
So
seconds.
Yeah.
You will send me the YouTube link.
it is quite spectacular. So I'd really like for you to get to see it. Okay. Well, I'll start talking because, as usual, I have a few things that I'd like to say. First of all, it's been quite a journey with Finn, and I'm really sad that this is my last time to be up here with him to talk about him. His freshman year was our COVID year, and his brother and him were our only representatives at the state meet. And fortunately, we've been able to be at the state meet for many, many years. So after the freshman year, Finn has been our lone representative at the state meet. But thank goodness Finn got us there and had remarkable outcomes. So one thing I've learned about Finn through the years is he has an amazing focus. And, we want all our students to set goals or athletes to set goals. I don't know many more that do a better job than Finn. He sets his goal, then he decides how he needs to get there. And he is definitely a student of the sport. I've watched him. He was great as a freshman, but I've watched him develop and grow. And I'll tell you, the state meet, as I say, when he swims, it's a beautiful thing. So I don't know if you heard him interviewed on KFVS, but I loved what he said because the record for state class 1 was our record till 2022. And it was Brogan Davis's record, and then we lost it. So Finn's goal was to bring that record back, and he did. And I mean, the race wasn't even close. I mean, he won by several seconds, which at the state meet is pretty incredible. But anyway, I did want to brag about him a little bit, and I wish you also could see the relays because he anchored both our relays, and yeah, it's amazing. But anyway, so we didn't have relays all the years he's been in high school. So this year, I like the term rising tide raises all ships, because I think Finn motivated 3 or 4 of our other swimmers to get to that relay and make that happen. And so first we just want to get 1 relay in. And then we won 2, and then we wanted all 3, and we ended up getting all 3 relays in. And then at the prelim day, we got 2 of our relays back to be all-state honorable mentions the second day. So Finn was the only person with state experience, and he did a great job leading the team, keeping them motivated, and we just had a great meet. And it was the other relay members, they all just have exceeded my expectations, Finn and everyone. We set goals for all those relays, and they exceeded all those, and that doesn't always happen, so that's really thrilling. I wanted to mention those other relay swimmers, Kent Sheridan, Wiley Edmondson, James Smoot, and Will Lawrence. They were the members of the relay teams. I think that's about all I have on my list, but it's been a joy and a pleasure, and Finn has represented our school district, Southeast Missouri, and our community in a great way. And at some of the meets, people would actually come up and say, "Are you Finn Thial?" So he was quite a celebrity in the swimming world, but he's talking to several coaches for next year, deciding where he's going to swim. So anyway, we had a great time. We appreciate, as always, the board letting us be recognized and putting the spotlight on Finn, because he definitely deserves that. He's been a treasure to our swim program for 4 years. So thank you, Finn.
Congratulations, Finn.
Can we get our picture while we pull this up? How about that?
That sounds good. Yeah. So I'm just thankful it could maybe happen. So, is that just your He's going to
He lets us talk. He said, they're still talking. He said, that's what I like. He said, shh.
Oh, watch out. Calm down, Caleb.
You all were breaking the camera. Let's see Finn with more shirt. Not to be creepy, but I got he's got 6.5. He's moving like 6,000 meters a day.
And by the way, that was a school record as well.
Yeah.
So Finn has set 3 school records this year: 50, 100 fly, 100 free.
Wow.
Forgot to mention. It is worth the wait.
Oh, absolutely.
Coach Powell, do you have any idea, combined male-female swimming over the last decade, how many team and individual state titles that is between the 2 programs now? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
In the last 10 years? So like since 20?
Just that last decade period.
No, I could tell you in a few minutes, but I'd have to think about that.
Probably need a calculator. It's gotta be getting up there right now.
Well, I'm glad that we have to take time to think about that. And 10 times also were All-American consideration time, so we don't know that till summer, and the top 100 become All-Americans, so.
Wow.
I can get back with you on that. So individual titles, because team titles, 4 for sure, 3
Right.
boys, 1 girl. But yeah, individual, I can get back with you on that. I kind of like to have that figure too, so I don't know that offhand.
She can let us know when she comes for the girls' state swim team.
Right?
Right?
There we go, yeah. Yeah, we're looking forward to an exciting girls' season, even though we lost 14 seniors. Still exciting group we have.
Yay.
Recognize Mrs. Brand is the speaker.
She's been doing celebrating for years. I'm glad to see her able to say that it was.
Where is this, Coach? In Columbia? Is it in Columbia? Is this Columbia?
Red Place in St. Peter. It's already out in front, so.
Wow.
We used to be the only team with orange caps, now every orange and blue or orange and white team has orange caps.
We'll wave the hat. Look at those underwaters.
The underwaters are amazing. That's, I mean, fitness, his starts, his turns, the underwaters, it's put it all together so well.
They're taking 7-8 strokes before he even comes out.
You can tell, I mean, I had to wait on the rest of the field. It only takes about 48 seconds, so thank you for
That's
your
impressive.
Wow.
Thanks for sharing that.
Coach Moyer says 14 girls and 26 boys.
Oh, my gosh.
14, 26,
14
and
and
4
26.
team titles.
Yes.
That's pretty amazing.
That's awesome. Thank you, Coach.
It's
That's
awesome.
incredible.
It's been fun, so.
Very cool.
Wow.
Thank you very much for having us, and we appreciate all you do for all of us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great job.
Well, that did not look like a state race. That was awesome. All right, up next we have information, proposals, or comments from the audience. Do we have anybody this month?
None this month.
All right, thank you. We always like to read this just for informational purposes. Request to place an item on the agenda or to address the board should be submitted in writing at least 5 days in advance of the regular monthly board meeting. Please submit requests to the board secretary, which is Mr. Payne, at the Central Administration Office. Constituents who request to address the board are allotted 3 minutes to speak. For more information regarding public participation in board meetings, please see board policies on the district's website. Up next, we have informational reports, and up first is the board president's report. I'm going to be short and sweet tonight. I don't have too much to say, which is unusual. But I did enjoy my time at the CHS Booster Bash. Mr. Cook, feel free to comment on this as well, or Mr. Cairns. I had a great night. I'm going to be a future Booster Club member for the first time. And I know you were commenting on that this is potentially first annual, depending on how well it went. I think from attending went very well. Had several coaches represented, and everyone had a great time. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but it was a great event.
Yeah, it was a really good turnout. I think we had roughly 27 different clubs, sports, organizations represented at it, and a bunch of just, citizens, just normal people, and food, fun. It was a good just hang out and try to get to know each other, figure out ways that we can work to help support the school. So it was a really good night. It might be a weekly thing. I don't know. We'll see. It was a lot of fun.
Shout out to Bold Marketing for giving us the space to get together in their event room. And so great group. And I think it was a great opportunity for coaches and staff members to spend a little time getting to know each other and what they do. And so Dr. Binion was there. We had a great crew, his wife. We had a great crew there. So thanks everybody who came out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely agree. And looking forward to next time. I will say one of the coolest parts about the event, I thought, was the backdrop showing what all the Booster Club had done for all the various organizations. And it was a lot. It was super impressive.
How many did you say that there was? Did you say there was like 20?
We're still, it's 26 or 7,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
We're still finalizing the number, but yeah, there's a lot. It's an all-school booster club. It's not just like for football or something. I mean, it's for everything.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. Well, kudos to you and the rest of the Booster Club for a great event. I really enjoyed it. Up next, we have the superintendent's report.
Well, I'll have to second that. It was a good time. I liked hearing our new coaches speak a little bit too. Got me pumped up a little bit it's about kids, and that always gets me excited about our new coaches when they really focus on our kids and what our kids need, not just in athletics but in academics as well. So that was great. Powerful speech by both coaches. My student report is we had our Student Youth Committee Council meeting today for our secondary, which is 5th through 12th grade. We kind of reviewed some of our topics and ranked them, and then we just kind of asked some further questions, and then we also discussed how they may want to reorganize the rankings of those findings that they came up with. Dr. Beck's been working on that for quite some time, kind of getting the data together and putting together all the information so that we could share that with our student council committee meeting. And tomorrow we do elementary, which will be at Clifford, which will be kindergarten through fourth, or actually it'll be third and fourth graders. So we're excited to see what they come up with as well. And then finally, I just really wanted to take a moment to wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. We have so many reasons to be thankful because we truly do have a district full of wonderful people, which you see that every day, and you see that at our board meetings as well. I just love having the opportunity to celebrate those kids that are doing exceptionally well in the classroom and then outside the classroom as well. Just please, as you sit down with your families this week, enjoy the time away from work and focus on spending good quality time with your loved ones, and we reflect on all that we have and that we're grateful for. I think that's an important piece of Thanksgiving is I'm grateful for everyone that I work with, and I'm grateful for this district and this board. So please, I hope that you all take the time and really tell people what you're thankful for. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you. Just for a clarification, no, I think the content here pulled from a previous meeting from last year. Just a heads up. I don't know if there's a way to delete that or not, but. Oh, no problem. Up next, we have the CSIP/program evaluations, and we're taking a look at our continued school improvement plan for Learn 3. And Ms. Keys.
All right, so Learn 3, just as a recap of what it is we're developing and implementing responsive, inclusive programs and services to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of our students. And I work as the champion for this goal, and our goal is to look at everything that we provide for students and what else can we be providing to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our students. Our key metrics for this are on my PowerPoint. There we go. Thank you, Jamie, or whoever's running it. District-wide counseling service data, so we're going to talk about that, our social work services data, and then our access to mentoring programs. So moving forward, our CTA representative actually retired, and so I'm looking for a new CTA representative. But we have a great group of individuals on this team that are committed to thinking outside the box to figure out what resources we still need in our district. So moving forward, we kind of talked about our purpose is to review our data and discuss how we can enhance that data to bring responsive and inclusive practices about. So moving into our academic services, this is the same list that we had last year, except I did add that we do have Central Academy as an academic service program because for students that get behind in coursework, they can have an opportunity to gain more credits there. We also do have summer school available for credit recovery and other credit recovery options at the high school. We have extended school year services, which is for our students with special needs, different from summer school where we focus on making sure that they continue to make progress on their individualized education program. And then we do have some homework support that is provided at Cub Club. If parents would like for their students to work on that during Cub Club, we have areas where that can be done as well. It's not a tutoring service, although the staff that work there can help the kids, but it is some support so that working parents aren't having to try to do all that when they get home. So moving forward to our social emotional services, and I should have started by saying that I am just super proud of all of the things that we do in this district. I travel around talking to, and I'm on a lot of Zoom calls with people from districts, Columbia, Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield. Josh travels a lot for school safety. All of our team goes a variety of places, and when we're asking them for ideas about extra services that we can provide, and they say, well, what do you provide? And we share, they're like, that's a lot. And we maybe got some ideas to help you tweak it, but they're very impressed with what we do have in our district, and so it just makes me really proud to be a part of our district. We do have behavior interventionists. We have small group counseling, individual counseling. We are supposed to have access to 3 school-based therapists through Community Counseling Center. They are trying to hire their elementary one right now. They're working very hard to make that happen. We do have social workers and student support services staff. We have our Care to Learn program that supports our health, hunger, and hygiene, which we will be having a blacklight bingo night coming up in the spring. So I'll tell you more about that as a fundraiser. We're excited about that opportunity. We have support from the foundation if the needs are outside the scope of Care to Learn. So if a student is needing access to, this actually kind of falls under academics too, but let's say they're taking a dual credit course and they can't afford the cost of that. We work with agencies as well as the Cape Schools Foundation to make sure that all of our students get opportunities to achieve at those higher levels. We have substance abuse counseling. We started out a few years ago with Community Counseling Center, and we have some ideas for ways that we can actually improve that, potentially coming down the pike. We're just in the beginning of discussions about that, but we know that that's a concern for students in our area, so we're really working hard on that. We are required to provide suicide prevention and sexual abuse prevention trainings. The junior high has been asking for a program called Hope Squad, which is an excellent program that focuses on suicide prevention as well as just handling anxiety, depression, social emotional regulation, all of those things. Community Counseling Center actually reached out to us in light of recent events in surrounding communities, which we have experienced in the past, and they are wanting to try to find some funding to help us expand that program. They came to us, we didn't go to them, so I think I answered the email within 1 minute of her sending it and saying, yes, we're on board. So we'll be adding that soon. All of our counselors do social emotional skills training in the classroom. We have bullying prevention, and we have a bullying app where students can report. We provide special education services. We do have a BCBA. We still have an opening for a second, if anybody knows one. We have 5 behavior interventionists in the district, and we have partnerships with ABC Today for mentoring. We also do the connectedness survey that actually ties into a lot of the data that we're going to talk about, and we have a partnership with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So now we're going to move into current data and trends as it comes to discipline, because this is one of our key measures. A lot of our discipline issues are related to the inability to regulate one's emotions, which is social emotional, and that is related to mental health. And so when you look at all of these great resources we have, we still know that we're not meeting the needs of every student. And so we are constantly looking. The foundation just wrote a grant for us, a mental health support grant, to support some other things that we have going on in the district as well. So I put 23-24's data up there, and then I put 24-25 to date the data. So you can see the top 5 discipline referrals, and from 23-24, and then you can see it moving into 24-25, where we're at currently. One of the things that I want you to note is the male to female ratio. I didn't put that on tardy to class because that's important to us, but when we're looking at keeping kids safe and making sure that we're monitoring our schools, it's not a major priority when we're looking at mental health data. But we have a much higher percentage of males that are struggling in these areas than our females. And so this is something that I mentioned before, but we're really digging deep into what are we doing to support our male students. We have a lot of support for our female students coming through the school district. We do have mentoring programs set up now at the junior high and the high school that are specifically targeting our 12 to 24 students, but obviously we need more, right? We're always looking for what more we can be doing. And so just kind of analyzing those data trends across the 2 years, you will see that our cell phone violations have decreased. I only focused on high school and junior high. But part of that recently, we started doing random checks. What are we calling those?
Class sweeps.
Class sweeps. So we've seen a little bit of an increase in that when we do class sweeps, but it's not because students have their phones out. It's like, show us your yonder pouch once you're in school, and if your phone's not in it, then that becomes a concern. So we're doing that to just kind of support the fact that you need to have your phone in it. But so that has raised it a little bit, but overall, students not having phones in the classroom has been Wonderful. You'll see on the top right there is just the breakdown of grade levels of when we see the most significant behaviors. And this is important because we have discussed as a cabinet that freshman year is very difficult for our students, and especially for our male students. That transition to the high school, going from having 2 grades at middle school, 2 grades at junior high, and then boom, you've got 1,000 kids, is very difficult. So we're kind of trying to target some things there. And it doesn't show as much on this one, but it does over our longitudinal data that we're seeing some of that at the 5th grade level too. And so we know that those are transition years for our students. So that's really good data for us to look at so that we can be going, okay, what are we doing specifically to target the students that are coming into a new environment? What extra supports can we provide them? So now we're going to dig into school data. We still don't have this as finely tuned as I would like for it to be. What I requested us to track this year was not every student they see, because that is a lot of students, but the students that they see regularly, because I feel like that the ones that are on like weekly check-ins are kids that really should be seeing a mental health counselor. If you're being seen weekly, then there's more going on there than, you know, the school counselor needs to manage long-term. And so when you look at our numbers, weekly check-ins from 23-24, that was April to as of today, you'll kind of see where we're at. I'm not going to read through all of them. Some of the schools don't start those small groups until a little bit later in the school year because they're trying to figure out what small groups they need to start. They target like grief groups, anger groups. I think they have one called the Wiggles group, which just means there's quite a few kids that can't sit still. So they're trying to define what those needs are within the building. So we'll see those small groups starting to increase. And then you can see the individual counseling sessions. So while it looks like a big increase from Alma last year to this year, they were fine-tuning, again, data collection last year, so I didn't feel real solid, and if you remember, I shared that with you last year. So I think we're getting better at our data collection, but just really wanting to fine-tune what is it that we want to know. Added into this, the behavior interventionist, how many students they see on a regular basis. So if it says on a regular basis, it's usually once a day or once every couple of days. If I looked at just the number of students that visited with behavior interventionists, again, that would be a much higher number. But I'm really trying to target the number of students that we want to throw all of our interventions to. Looking at Blanchard, they actually do small groups for Mrs. Phelps. She will end up doing small groups for every group of students in the building. So what she does is a large group instruction in a classroom, and then she breaks small groups off of that. So you'll see her small groups are a lot higher. She also has a kindness club, 2 groups of students that meet regularly that just want to do acts of kindness in the school, which I think is amazing. You'll see the individual counseling sessions on there. She's seen 1 student for care team interventions, which could be academic related. She's referred 7 students to our district mental health counselor because currently we don't have our elementary school base. We're waiting on that position to be hired. And so Miss Teresa is our school mental health support counselor. She is seeing a lot of kids right now trying to make up for what we don't have available, but we're working on it. Blanchard does not have a behavior interventionist. That was their choice. Moving on to the next slide, you're going to see Clippard. This looks like a big difference, but what you were looking at last year was the number of students that were on weekly check-ins at some point during the school year, so they start date and end date those. So right now she has 10 students on weekly check-ins, 9 students in small groups. You can see the individual counseling sessions. Not everyone reported those. And we have 9 students there that see the behavior interventionist regularly, but this is just, I threw this in for just an example. She's had 129 visits, Laura has, of kids that she has seen. Now that doesn't mean 129 different students, it's just 129 visits where it has required her attention. But out of that, there's 9 that are really needing a lot of targeted skills. So I want to make sure that you see that the staff that we have in place are necessary and very worthwhile, and we're very thankful for them. Franklin has 10 students on weekly check-ins. They've already started 7 students in small groups. She's had 40 individual counseling sessions, and Kiana is doing minute meetings, which is something that Central Academy does too, where they try to take 1 minute and meet with every kid before a specific period of time. It's just a quick 60 seconds, like all eyes on you conversation with a kid, and it's all about building relationships. So I'm really excited that she incorporated that, and she's continuing to work on that. And then Jamie, who is the behavior interventionist, she sees 5 students regularly there, but again, a lot more if I gave you the total number that visit with her. Jefferson, the counselor, has 6 students on weekly check-ins, so remember these students are basically receiving individualized counseling each week from our school counselors. 8 students in small groups, 10 students that she sees for regular individual counseling sessions that would have been seen by a school-based therapist, but she's seeing those now in the interim until we can provide somebody for that. So when you add that up, that's 16 students that are requiring one-on-one every week. Which is quite a bit when you're trying to manage the other, making sure you're getting into your classrooms as well. 13 students that see the behavior interventionist, Mr. Gabe, who we love at Jefferson, regularly. He does an excellent job. Moving on to middle school, I feel like I'm reading too much, so I'm just going to kind of let you go through this, but we do have school-based there, so they're seeing 11 students at middle school, and rolling up, they have 13 at junior high. That's a shared person. You'll see that we have 15 students seeing a female mentor and 15 male students seeing a mentor. We've had 26 visits to the social worker. You see our behavior interventionist small groups. They've started some really great intensive small group social emotional stuff at the middle school that is showing success, and that's really growing. So I'm excited about that, especially since we talked about middle school being one of those transition years that we're trying to hit it hard there. Junior high has 43 students on weekly check-ins. That's a lot already this year. 28 in counseling small groups, and that includes the ROCKS group. And then there's one other group that is, I believe it's anxiety related. That does not include the girls group that Miss Carolyn Thomas, our district social worker, runs. She has around 20-ish kids, I think, in her group. In addition to those in small groups, 13 students have been referred to school-based or the district mental health. And then, of course, Carolyn Thomas oversees all of our Care to Learn information, and I was hoping to have specifics to how many students we've served in Care to Learn to date. I did not get that today because they were over packing Thanksgiving baskets and having families pick those up and making deliveries. I just got a text a while ago that they made their last delivery. So once I get that data, I'll shoot it out to you because I just think it would be good for you to see how many needs that program is serving with our students. And then I did not receive the mentor data yet from junior high, but that will be updated. High school, you see the number of students in individual counseling. We have 25 students there that see our school-based therapist. So she's kept pretty busy there. 124 visit to the social worker. She also, Tiffany at the high school, runs 3 groups of 11 for girls. So again, we have, you're seeing this repetitive, we have got lots of supports in place, but we need to be doing more for our men. We do have a mentor at the high school that has 24 young women that she works with 9 weekly check-ins, and we do have 2 mentors that are seeing 12 students. But we're constantly having conversations about do we have the right students paired with the right program to make sure that we're meeting the needs of everybody. And then Central Academy, we have 10 students on weekly check-ins, 28 being seen for individual counseling. That's between the school counselor and the school base, so that again is a lot of kids. 4 students in small groups and 12 seeing the school-based therapist. And then they have had 42 visits to the social worker there. So what do we need to do? I have 23, 24 data on here and 24, 25, kind of what we've met and what we still need to do. We are still looking at more tutoring access for our elementary students. Once we hit middle school, we have a lot more access to that, but our elementary students don't have as much. So that's still a need for us. Although we do have the homework support available at Cub Club, we know that we have students with needs and families that aren't able to afford paying a tutor. So we want to continue to work on that. We already addressed our concern that we had last year with students who were not making progress on reading support plans. We have now created a plan for kind of a tiered way that we're going to work students through receiving more supports until we feel like they get to a point where we've put everything into them we can, and we think we need to try to refer for special education and related services. So that has been working for us this year. Also, with our RSPs and reading support plans in secondary schools, we started a reading class at the junior high, and we have more plans to come to support that. When I go to reading support plan trainings, where people from across the state are together, we are the only school, I told Jamie this, so I was really proud of our district, and this is not because I did it, it was Jamie and Tina and Nick, but we are the only school currently servicing our students at the secondary levels. Now, it's state law that that's rolling up, but right now, most districts are only serving K through 4. So again, I feel like it's good to note that our people are constantly looking at how can we get ahead of this, how can we be on the front end of making sure we're meeting our students' needs. And then continuing to work on building intervention times into secondary schools is very difficult, so we are using ICU at the junior high for that, for additional intervention, as well as advisory at the high school. We're still looking for more mental health services without insurance requirements, and I noted that we just wrote another grant for Hope Squad and partnering with Community Counseling Center. Community Counseling Center is great about providing us therapists, but all of that, it's not all tied to Medicaid, but a lot of it is tied to Medicaid, and everything else is on a sliding scale. They too are trying to hire to keep up with the community need for mental health services. While anything we go to them with, though, they are trying to figure out how to make it happen. So we're highly appreciative of that. And then we also partner with Great Oak, and they provide services to our students who have private pay insurance, but at a reduced rate, so that we can help fund that for families through our Care to Learn. We're looking at more intensive substance abuse programming, and as I stated before, we're in the very initial stages of potential programming investigation that would support students that are really wanting to be in recovery from their substance abuse. So you'll be hearing about more of that to come. Small group counseling for boys at the elementary, middle school, and junior high levels. Really, our goal is to work on conflict resolution and just regulating your body and how you respond to things. So that's ongoing. And then we do have mentors in place. We still know that we need more small groups. And then M66 has a recommendation, not a requirement, but a recommendation of one counselor to 250 students. We still, we're not there, but we are working hard to provide lots of support services to better support our counselors. And that is all I have to say. Wait, maybe. Is there one more slide? That's it. Any questions?
Do you know what the ratio is that we do have right now?
It ranges between schools. I think Jefferson is sitting at what number? They're probably our highest ratio right now.
You want pre-K numbers in there or not?
She doesn't do group lessons for pre-K, so no.
So they're at like 410?
Yeah, that's our
somewhere
highest.
around 420 somewhere.
Yeah, which is why you see so many more individualized counseling going on there. So we know that, and hopefully when we get our school-based therapists back, that's going to take some of that weight off there. That was also the purpose of us adding the district mental health support counselor, to kind of take some of that off. But at the high school, we're pretty close to that. At the high school, we're a little bit over, but they also have the additional counselors at the high school for.
They have root in career advising. They also have well, for a long period of time, they had a program offered through Mizzou, but we no longer participate in that program.
Right. So they do have a little bit of extra support there, as well as the fact that we have a full-time social worker. She can take on some of that. And then Lauren Brewer is a school psychologist, also psych examiner, and so she can pick up some of that. So that really helps us at the high school. Junior high, I think, is close. What's our total number at junior high?
They're at 300 roughly.
About 300. So 300 was, 350 is what it was before, then it was a recommendation of 300, and now with M66, it's recommendation 250. We're kind of okay sitting at 300, but we know we need to work on it. Any other questions?
Are the small groups voluntary, or are they
Parents
obligated?
have to give permission for small groups. Typically, the small groups come out of concern, at the elementary level, they come out of concerns that teachers are sharing. and/or frequent visits to see the counselor. And there's a theme. Sometimes counselors will send out, hey, I'm thinking about starting a grief group. I noticed there was one elementary school that had 6 students in a grief group. We just recently had one of our schools lost 2 parents in kindergarten. 2 kindergartners lost their parents within the same weekend. So we have a lot of young children experiencing heavy grief, so that's some of the groups that we run. But any group that we start, there is parent permission to attend. Now, if they're doing across the building small groups like Blanchard does, those are based on the lesson that they're working on, so those don't require parent permission. But if it's a more specific group that they've started for a concern, those do.
I just wanted to take a second, and we talk about these numbers, and they seem kind of like there's, 35 kids seeing somebody, and we've had 62 individual sessions, but it's really more of like, it's not a cold thing. It's like a family thing. I personally had a situation where my child was involved in an accident, and the school district came in and was there for my kids in this family way that I don't think that we adequately portray to the public, because we're such a large district, that I don't think that the public really sees that, everybody just sort of swoops in and takes care of them.
Thank you for sharing that. That is true. We do try really hard to make sure that if we have a loss, that we're supporting the family, or a situation. We take food to funeral homes more often than we'd like to share. We take food to homes. We ask, what can we do? Do you need help providing your kid transportation for a while? How can we support you? And we do try to act as a district, as a family. That's a goal. Any other questions? You only get to hear from me twice tonight, only because I didn't get all 4 done. So. And Brian wasn't even going to throw me under the bus for that, but I'll go ahead and tell you.
We're ready for the gifted program. Yep.
On a lighter topic? Okay, so I'm going to refer, because I don't have this one pulled up.
Which one do you want? They're kind of, wasn't sure.
The other one, yeah, that one. Okay, so this one shows you our gifted program runs K-8 right now, 9 through 12. Our focus has been on the fact that we have access to honors classes, AP, dual enrollment, all of those things. Desi would really like us to go to providing somebody that is there at least 30 minutes a day or 150 minutes a week. I don't know where they get these numbers, but to support our high achieving students. And when I asked them, okay, what would be the role of that support? They're like, well, they need assistance with applying for colleges and all this stuff, and we have people in place out of the high school that do that currently. So I haven't moved on that yet, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to. You'll see that our numbers have increased. In 21-22, we had 118 students. Last year, we moved up to 161, and this year, 189. And we are in the process of testing currently, so those numbers may go up. The 189 does not include the students at the high school who are served through the programs that I just talked about. We have 2 full-time staff members and a retired staff member that currently works up to 550 hours to help us with testing and referrals and things like that. And that's our total cost of programming. This actually covers all 4 of our goals. It is under Learn 3, which is the one that we just discussed, because again, it's meeting the needs of all learners, but it's also part of our Portrait of a Graduate, because we want to make sure there's actually a gifted learner Portrait of a Graduate that Desi put out. So it really fits nicely. It's nicely interwoven with what we have created as a district as well. And then, of course, this impacts Learn 2 and 4 on how we're doing curriculum, how we're performing on state of assessments, and all of those things. Strengths of our programming, we have a gifted committee, and lots of people like to come to it, and I love that. So we have elementary, middle school, junior high counselors that come. We have some principals that come. There's a lot of interest in wanting to understand the process. So that's good. Our screening process has been reviewed and revised. Our goal is always to access as many students as we can. We provide access to differentiated instruction to make sure that we're academically challenging our students in a way that's fun and doesn't appear like extra work. So that's been a little bit of a dance, when you're pulling kids in, saying, hey, we want to challenge you to do this really hard math problem, and they're like, I just had 90 minutes of math, no thank you. But we are working to do that. Social emotional skills have been integrated, and this was a big push for me because I did a lot of research. I do this randomly on Friday nights because I'm so cool. I just go into rabbit holes, and one of my children is in the gifted program, and I read a lot about the social emotional struggles that our students who are gifted have, and how there is that drive to perfection. Even though your teachers aren't putting that on you, there's that drive to succeed. Well, I should know this. There have been comments in the past, but I don't think our teachers are doing this anymore, is, well, you should know that you're in the gifted program, and that right there will send a kid through the roof. I'm never asking a question again. So we've integrated that, which has been a lot of fun for our teachers, but also it's really engaged our students to say, hey, when you're making mistakes, you're actually growing and learning, and this is a good thing, and it's appropriate, and it doesn't mean you're not smart. So we also created an alternate gifted education program in 2021, and we updated it in 2023. New guidelines were just released on that based on some state, actually there was an OCR complaint that where the federal government was like, we need to make some adjustments to that. So we are working on how to address diversity in the programming, but you can no longer use race or ethnicity as part of that program, which was the big push before. Now you can only use English language status and free and reduced lunch status. So we're working to make adjustments to that. Another strength is our numbers have increased, and like I said, we've introduced the higher ELA and math practices and programming for our students as well. So concerns, our participation demographics do not match our district demographics, and that is a big concern to our entire committee. So we do have an alternative gifted education plan, but we still have underrepresented students, and so we are always working on ideas to increase diversity. So if you have ideas about that, I would love to hear them. And with increased student qualifications, that leads to increased need for staffing in the future. So right now, we're able to cover it with what we have, but as the student population grows in there, we will potentially need to look at more staffing. So what are our goals? We want to continue to implement curricular units that support student growth in more than one area of giftedness. That was our goal last year. Progress has been made. We're really working with kids to use not just their left brain, but also to add in their right brain to some of the activities that they're doing. So that's been fun to watch. Also exploring our alternative identification plans. And I just told you that we are already currently in the progress of working on that. And our last one was to implement the social emotional learning program. That was our goal last year. And we have done that, and that will continue to grow. So overall, I feel like our program is functioning at an average level. We have big ideas for how we want to improve. Mr. Taylor took over as our department chair, and he is so fun and high energy, and he's like me. He likes to read stuff on the weekends, and so I think we have good things coming our way with that program. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Up next, we have our academic services report. We're taking a look at the connectedness survey data report from the fall with Dr. Beck.
Hey, can I chime in on that real quick? Sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot to talk about that. It's so important. So we did use information from our connectedness survey as well as our state student survey, all that tied together to come up with the ideas that we are doing in Learn 3 as well. So I just want to make sure that you know we are looking at all of our data, different data points that we're gathering to make decisions.
Well, Dr. Beck, your time is up. So up next.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Coincidentally, that's how it works at cabinet meetings. Weird how that happens. Well, mine will be short and brief, but just kind of spinning off what Ms. Keys is already talking about. The connectedness, it's a tool in the toolbox to really feed the bigger item we're talking about, our CSIP objective, right, to providing responsive programs for all students. We've been participating in this for 2 years now. We're at full capacity for implementation now, meaning that we're rolling it through the middle school, the junior high, high school. It's being exposed to every student across the district at that 5 through 12 level. And just so you have the background of what this all came from, this was actually a strategic effort between Big Brothers Big Sisters and Cape Public Schools, and it's a very strategic way to figure out what's the measure for are we building relationships between adults and students, essentially throughout the district. So 3 key questions are brought into this that actually address that in the survey. So do you have a trusted adult you could go to for support, help, or guidance? Are you involved in any teams, clubs, or other after-school groups that would expose you to people you can connect with? And then, do you know how to access, or are you aware of district resources available for you? Do you know who to contact for additional information? If you look at the feedback for this fall, and I was super impressed with these numbers. We've discussed it as a cabinet team multiple times already. Just shy of 2,000 responses from grades 5 through 12, so that's middle school, junior high, and high school. An overwhelming amount listed on here, 93% response rate at the middle school for all kids 5, 6. That actually bumped to 95% once Miss Wright alerted me that 30 of those kids were no longer in the district, so she removed them from the survey responses for no response, so to speak. So they're actually at 95. Junior high was at 75% response, and then CHS was at 80%. And that's all owed to the principal groups and how intentional they're being in their effort to see who they're getting responses from, going through auditing that, cleaning it up, working with Mr. Russell on the data pieces, and then making sure kids are getting to the survey so they can complete it. I'm not going to read every one of these. Two that I feel are two big areas that need to be highlighted. Obviously, do you have a trusted adult at the school that you could go to for support, help, or guidance? CMS, 91% of those students identified they have some sort of a trusted adult. 73% at the junior high and 82% at the high school. We love seeing those numbers. And then skipping the middle section, which is more of a static metric at this point in the year. Are you aware of district resources available to you? And we average 60% or greater across the board from grade levels 5 through 12, which is super impressive. Speaks volumes to Ms. Keys and all the support services staff across the district and how they're educating families and students on how to get resources they need. And then probably the most important part is how do we use the information to align the actions that get the resources in the people's hands that need them, so to speak. Continued effort with ABC Today Network for staff recognition and appreciation. It's very powerful as an educator to hear that you are somebody's trusted adult, right? They're not working in this for the money, it's for the mission, right? So that's very powerful information for them to get. ABC Today Network works with our building leadership teams to recognize and appreciate those staff members from the surveys. It also can help us increase case management capacity through those mentoring programs that Ms. Keys was talking about earlier. This gives very specific targeted data that we obviously can't share in an open session, but staff members can go in and drill down to who has trusted adults, who feels like they have a support system in place. They can isolate that information quickly and then act on it. Data visuals are provided to all of our building principals following Mr. Russell organizing and collecting all data. That's a collaborative effort with Big Brothers Big Sisters. So we're analyzing one piece from our home base, and they're at their headquarters analyzing another, and we merge all that for our admin teams. And then enhancing after-school programming. As many of you know, most recently we added the 21st Century Grant. Going back to the slide before without physically changing, over 60% of our middle school kids are participating in after-school activities now.
That's awesome.
It's pretty amazing. Consider none of them can drive, right? But through that grant, we can provide transportation to those kiddos. So that's a pretty amazing number of participants. And then Mandy, you can give specific examples if you'd like, but based on that survey feedback, talking about how we can allocate district resources through our social workers, school counselors, whether it's grant, care to learn.
We have just looked at, I started digging into the data a little bit and looking at students who said, I might be interested in counseling services, and there were a lot of them. And while I was excited that they said that, it also just like made me sick to my stomach because I'm thinking, how many kids are we not reaching? So while I just told you all those beautiful numbers, there's a lot of kids out there that are like, maybe I could benefit from that. And they're self-reporting, which means they want help. So we're working to try to make connections there.
In that survey, the system we use now, we call it jot forms on the back end to collect the information. It's so specific that Ms. Keys could go in, for instance, and say, who wants to know about hygiene products in the district, and just select that field, and it auto-populates a list based on the survey response. So it's pretty powerful information you can act on quickly to get resources into people's hands. And then tentatively, as of now, I think Dr. Binion already knew this as well, but we're the plan is that in the spring, me and Big Brothers Big Sisters will more than likely be presenting this model at the MASA conference to superintendents from across the state. So hopefully this will be a
awesome.
resource that more and more districts start using moving forward. Any questions or?
I have a question. So, okay, going back to what Ms. Keys shared about our referrals and disruptive behaviors, where something like 70% of those referrals were our young men. And so trying to tie this into this information, I'm guessing that and I'm just going to pick on the junior high because it's in the middle, 75% of the kids answered the survey. I'm guessing, based on my experience with my own daughters and sons, that more like a bigger percentage of girls answer than boys. But are we seeing a disproportionate number of our young men who do not have a trusted adult that is kind of reflecting in that 70% with disruptive behaviors?
So the part that we could have certain statistics to wrap around as a result of this would be, regardless of the response, we don't have the support systems in place that would balance between the genders.
Right.
So although discipline data shows a significant disproportionality for the male students across the district, when we identify those kids with no trusted adult or they're not in like an after-school activity through connectedness, we have to stretch beyond common mentoring or case management and get them involved with coaches and current staff members in the building, or a teacher assistant that's also an assistant basketball coach or something like that. This provides us with some more wraparounds until some of those established case management mentoring programs get set up.
Yeah, well, it just seemed like, this is probably exposing a whole lot of areas that, you can look at and go, oh, whatever percentage of our young men don't feel like they have a trusted adult, we have a higher percentage of our young ladies that do, so maybe we.
And now we have that quantitative piece to invest in additional staffing and resources, and we know it's needed, right? It's not just throwing a dart in the dark, so to speak.
Right.
But another big part of this, and you can't see it because it's confidential information in open session that we would be putting out, but this is the general survey response data you get. We get specific data.
Right.
So once the kid says, Dr. Fagley is my trusted adult, we also see what's their attendance, how many behavior referrals do they have, do they participate in after-school activities, and it starts tying everything together.
Right.
And this is the first time since I've worked here that we've had the resources to do that.
It's awesome.
It just seems like super valuable information.
Right.
I know it's just a small piece, but you referenced how many kids at the middle school, maybe it was the junior high, that are in after-school activities now. And I've noticed over the last couple of years, the middle school and the junior high both have worked so hard on building their after-school programs. They have so many options to really pull in kids for a variety of things they might be interested in or want to participate in. And I'm sure that's a big part of in seeing this increasing number in kids that are hanging out after school and participating in something.
Yeah, and a major component is a lot of those programs weren't built because the principals felt they were necessary. They were built on student interest. So, for instance, this is the first year in the last 8 years that the middle school has a dance program going on after school. Well, that's not a grant-funded activity. That's a district-funded activity.
Sure.
But student interest showed that that's what they wanted, right?
Yeah.
So they have actively 20-plus members 2 days a week participating in after-school dance. And, that speaks volumes to participation level versus why you're starting the program.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
A lot of those are funded through our after-school grants that we currently have too. I mean, the 21st Century Grant has been a game changer for our 5th through high school students. So I think that a lot of that, they can be creative on what type of clubs or programming they can do after school because they have the funding to do it.
Yeah.
And the high schools, they've expanded too. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
we don't hear about it as much,
Yeah.
but because they get to drive and they get to, choose where they go, but
Yeah.
they've been able to expand on all of the offerings we already have at the high
Yeah,
school.
I feel like our high school has, for a long time, been really good at that. So something I've always complimented our high school on is the way that you don't have to just be a football player to be involved. You can have just about any interest and you will find a group of people at the high school. It's nice to see that expand into the junior high and the middle school now too.
And the biggest question I get as a follow-up to that is, why do we see 59 to 65% range of participation at middle school, and then we see that maintain or even slightly climb at junior high level? And then you get back to high school and it kind of plateaus off around 60 again type of deal, right? Well, credit bearing, weight and stress of courses, honor section, AP, dual credits, and then the fact that some of those kids are working full-time
Yeah.
to take care of their families at home, right? So it's a constant juggling act on what the priorities are.
Yeah, sure.
Based on the age range, so.
And you mentioned this, and maybe, I'm guessing there's a lot more to this, but when you talked about district resources availability and kind of your knowledge of who you'd contact for more information, is there like a drill down, like you mentioned hygiene products specifically, but like, to me at some level, I almost feel like, I don't know if there's a pathway, if we already do it in this survey, to have a QR code that kind of directs people to say, hey, here are resources. If you don't know, or you think you know, here's a way to go see what's out there. And again, I don't know how we make sure kids, if I say I am aware, like,
Are you actually?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
right.
So we can drill down and send, my thought process was, which we, like, all this data is just not coming together for us to kind of cross compare, but my thought process was that we would get information out to those specific students based on their interest. We don't want to do a QR code because they shouldn't have their phones out. Taking a picture of that
Nice
QR
try
code.
there.
But,
I was testing you. Yeah, you passed. That's good work. Strong.
but we could have some kind of resource that we print that students could potentially have access to, that we could have like pick up outside the counselor's office type of thing, where we could have links to that kind of things for them to look at after school, so they know
Right.
what resources.
And to be honest, a lot of these things, when you start getting as deep as having a conversation about needing food in your house or
Right.
needing, a place to get clean clothes or something like that, a lot of times that's a very personal conversation with a social worker, a counselor. Well, that, from the chain of command standpoint you're talking about, right, all of that pushes from the data, from the survey, straight to Mandy's hands.
Right.
And then she controls that flow of information coming down across the district, whether it's counselors, social workers, mental health people. And that's something we met with Big Brothers Big Sisters, because it's new, all this information we're getting. And what we want to do when we start implementing how we're going to phase out communications and all these different things, we want it to be efficient, right? And in a timely manner, so we don't want to be running people in circles when there was a simpler way to do it, so to speak.
The team, really, they've been talking about how they can implement this using the care team process. And so if we start that care team process up again, I think a lot of the schools are already doing the care team process, but they can use this data, especially if a student's struggling academically. Well, there may be several
Other
factors that
things.
they're going to be using, and that was something that Mandy brought up, is this will be great data for care teams. And so that they're really targeting kids that are struggling in school, whether it's academically, whether it's social, emotionally, they'll be able to use this data. But they meet on a regular basis. I think at high school you meet every Wednesday. Every Wednesday and they go over kids that are struggling in school, whether it's academics, social, emotional, but they can use that data to drill down what specifically they may need.
This is awesome. I mean, again, I think the
Agreed.
idea of seeing kids, especially who don't have a trusted adult they could go to, and being able to identify that as an educator or somebody who's in the school system, to say, hey, I want to make a special effort to see if I can become a trusted adult or be a voice to lean on or somebody to talk to. I think for some of our kids who are at higher risk for a variety of reasons, this is a fantastic tool. Not only to ensure where you're doing well, but to figure out how do you do better in areas where maybe you haven't reached kids.
And the
So-
part I love about this is we're not just talking about teachers, right? This
Right.
is support staff
Yeah,
across the
Right.
district.
100%.
Nutrition
Yeah.
services.
Mr. Russell could tell you stories. I sat for hours in my office when we got all this back, and I just like scanned lists over and over, looking for like what I would consider anomalies, right? And it's
Right.
like cafeteria manager is your trusted adult
Yeah.
in these buildings. That's who these people have built relationships with. They talk to, interact on a daily basis, and there's nothing more rewarding than getting to deliver that news
Yeah.
to somebody who isn't compensated well enough for the amount they do for the district. So it's
That's
very
cool.
meaningful feedback for them as well.
How did you get such high response rates on these surveys?
So I can tell
That's
you,
impressive. These numbers
Yeah.
are impressive.
so I can tell you at the middle school, they were very strategic about it. If I tell Becky Wright, there's a non-negotiable survey we're doing, and it's going to tell you whether your kids have trusted adults. She's like, I'm scheduling it building wide. Everybody's taking it with the counseling team in the building, stuff like that. So they did it through a scheduling model.
Yes.
And then Ms. Scheller's in attendance. I don't know if you want to talk about how you sent the information out or layered it to students.
During advisory, and then maybe an announcement during advisory on a Monday when there's no travel and the teachers were supposed to watch and monitor. And then I contacted Jamie and he was able to send me the list of students who didn't do it, then I was able to just send it to those students.
We see you.
We know all. There's about every two or 3 days she'd email me, hey, what's the new list?
Like, what's our number?
Yeah.
Because our percentage is important for one.
Yeah.
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 Sure. Because of our kids, right? And Paul, that's a good question. I'm sorry, is that those trusted adults, those kids who just aren't truthful because that's embarrassing, that's where the trusted adults come, because most of our hygiene items, needing food items, needing to go to the doctor, having trouble at home, come through, not like them walking in the office and saying, hey, I have no food.
Yeah.
It comes through the trusted adults. So when trusted adults know they're trusted adults, they get better at that and it builds. But that's where those kids go. They go to those people.
For sure.
Anecdotally, I've seen it in some of the high school teachers too, that, once they figured out that they've done that, like, I've seen a couple of them just grow because of that, and it has changed them.
It's pretty awesome information to have.
Yeah.
Any other questions? We can talk about this all night.
I know. It's good stuff. Yeah. All right, well, up next we have our Community Teachers Association report. Mr. Loppy, we've missed you.
Did Bailey tell you about her cheerleading routine she did with emoji faces and everything?
I didn't hear the details, but I could go back and watch it. I think we're on, maybe. All right, well, here we go. So first off, yes, I appreciate Amy Mays and Bailey Krallman being fill-ins for me the last couple months, so I'm glad to be back. I'm going to start by actually passing out a few thank yous. So first one, I'd like to thank you. We have a thank you from CTA. We attended our convention at MSTA 2 weeks ago, and so we have a thank you card. If you wouldn't mind, just read it and pass that around from the board. And then I also have some thank yous from our fourth graders. We had our thankful feast on Friday, so I just wanted to pass these around that the board can read those as well. Thank you to those that were able to make it out to the feast. I think it was a great success. And so I just wanted to pass those around too while I'm reading some others. Okay, so we're going to start with our building shout-outs for Alma Schroeder. So this one actually highlights Miss Reinhardt. It says here she consistently goes above and beyond for her staff, especially during busy times like the recent Halloween parties. With many parents and grandparents visiting, the dismissal process can become quite challenging. There was actually an incident. I'm not going to read you some of these details, but the parent was confused, and so they were not as professional in front of a staff member. So Ms. Reinhardt, according to this, stepped in, reached out to the family directly, and just reminded them, they work incredibly hard, the staff does, and she communicated how they deserve to be treated with respect. And the approach to that, the staff member who wrote this felt it was very commendable and reinforces the supportive environment she strives in their school. At Clippard, Miss Amelia Collier for always helping the staff with anything they need. She is totally a one-woman show. Thank you for being amazing. They would like to give a shout out to the amazing community partners that continue to support all the schools, and they have some of the best, they believe. At ECC, all of the teacher assistants, they feel they are worked extremely hard and make wonderful connections with their tiny tigers. At Franklin, they like to give a shout out to so many of the amazing staff members for volunteering to give up part of their plan time to give extra help each day to some of their struggling readers. says, when the reading team asked if any non-classroom teachers want to give up 10 to 15 minutes of their time to help, they had 9 people say yes that same afternoon. And so they wanted to recognize some of them, specifically the counselor, Kiana Sanders, cafeteria worker, Tasha Erlbacher, gifted teacher, Shelby Evans, librarian, Tracy Federhoff, and math Title I teacher, Henrietta Dennis. There were 4 others they wanted to help, but the scheduling didn't work out. Those were the cafeteria manager, Samantha Rubel, the nurse, Julie Pastrick, TA, Donisha Bell, and library assistant, Annie Wren. So they feel blessed to have so many people willing to go above and beyond for the good of their students. Another shout out, Franklin, goes to Mrs. Harrer, the music, is that how you say her? Harrer, sorry. Harrer is the music teacher. She's put on so far 2 wonderful school concerts. The 3rd and 4th graders even learned and performed a modified Thriller dance. So that probably is pretty cool to see. At the high school, they give a shout out to Nita DuBois for receiving the NAACP Dr. Edward Spicer Excellence in Education Award. Shout out to Kim Newman for leading her classes in Kids Feeding Kids. The students made over 200 servings of chicken fried rice to be served at a local food bank. Also shout out to Ms. Strothman for organizing the career panels for the juniors. At Jefferson, shout out to the cafeteria workers who truly love their students. They work to keep the students and staff fed, and they are appreciated more than they know. A shout out to all the 4th grade, like I had said about our community feast. Yeah, it really was a huge success, and we appreciated those that were able to come and always supporting us. At the junior high, shout out to Ms. Marston and Ms. Hahn for their amazing work with ELLs. They have been working hard on creating accommodations and modifications to create the best educational experience for all of their students. At the middle school, a shout out to Becky Wright, the principal, for going above and beyond to support every single student, parent, and staff member. She truly is exceptional. Also, shout out to Ms. Contreras for helping staff members with their Canvas pages and helping the ELA team with their knowledge and guidance every week. Ms. Hill got a shout out for adapting to the challenges, building relationships with students, and always making a difference. And shout out to Shannon Berghoff for going above and beyond for the kids while her partner is out. She truly is killing it. So, a few other things to highlight I was going to share with the board. We were able to take 10 delegates to our MSTA convention, so we're very proud and, again, appreciate the support from the district to be able to take off for those as well. Our numbers for CTA and MSTA, we're proud to say, I've been an officer of CTA for 3 years, right? And we've always been right under 300 across the district, and we made it over the hump this year, so I was very pleased. We're looking at around 315 members for MSTA. So we continue to show the importance of being a part of the association, and we're very proud of that number. So does anyone have any questions for me? All right, well, thank you all. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the feast was wonderful. Thank you all so much for the invitation. Up next, we have the Treasurer Finance Report. Ms. Dudek.
I am going to report on the October 24 fund balance report. Beginning fund balance for the general fund, $17.5 million. We received a little over $1.2 million in revenues for the month, and expenses were $2.4 million. Transferring $1.8 million to the special revenue fund, which at this time of the year is covering teacher salaries and benefits, leaving us with an ending fund balance of $14.5 million. The cash and investment detail is listed below. Those are banks that we have that are currently holding our funds. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have our Support Services Report. Mr. Crowell.
Good evening, Board. First off, over buildings and grounds, the biggest project we currently have going besides construction is work on our long-range facility plan. And detailed below an update where it is not as successful as our students filling out the survey. We did have our staff fill out their survey. Not quite as the expected percentage. However, we have on-site visits with our consultants that will be coming up. and meeting with our staff face-to-face January 6th as well as January 17th during those 2 days to fill in information that they're going to be needing. What we're currently doing right now is compiling an internal committee and an external committee, which will first meet on December 9th. And as you can see with the upcoming dates, the internal meeting will be 3:45 to 5, and then the external community members will be 5:30 to 7. With those meetings, IDS will be taking us through basically the foundation of how all of our future meetings will hold out, and we'll continue to have meetings with those two committees on February 3rd, March 3rd, April 7th, and May 5th. As those meetings are taking place, the information that is gathered and gleaned and developed in goals and objectives and kind of guiding us through that process, there will be other community meetings taking place that'll be scheduled at a later date for the greater community for listening sessions, hearing feedback, so on and so forth. And then ultimately, the long-range plan development will conclude with board adoption at the June 23rd board meeting. So you can dig a little bit more into the weeds as far as that process, but you can see below we have it all linked in there. Moving on to other items, just a transportation update. We have adjusted some of our bus routes and pickups where we have shifted some students off of some buses, placed them on other buses. Just small, minute changes to maybe shift 5, 10, 15 kids from one bus to another to ease up a little bit of the numbers on those buses. Those communications go out to those stops and families and students that are affected with that. But I also want to bring out that once we come back from Thanksgiving break, parents, just remind your kids and have your kids wear their jackets, not just send them out the door. We're expecting some bitterly cold weather for the first time this season. Food service is still doing great. Dana McClard, our food service director, as well as Randa, our dietitian, just came back from a few conferences and shows looking at upgrading our menus and constantly improving the quality of our offerings for breakfast and lunch. And as of the beginning of this month, all of our buildings have gone through a lot of their back-to-school training now. Some of those buildings, we had 2 buildings that just could not get that tied in at the very first couple of professional days because of all the other mandatory trainings we take. And our buildings are continuing on, completing their drills throughout the year. So we participated as a district 1 day early on the Great Midwest Shakeout. That was all over about 11 different states. We participated in that. The actual day, though, was a parent-teacher conference day, so we had done it earlier. But again, we're only going to be as good as how we drill and how we practice, and our staff and students are continuously practicing. So that's what we want. Questions or concerns? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Up next, we have our board reports for the evening, and first on the list is the MSBA delegate report. Mr. Cook.
I'll pass to Ms. Begley. Dr. Begley, sorry.
It's okay. Oh, your name's on here. Sorry.
That's all right.
It is Dr. Fagan.
I don't have anything either.
Okay. Up next, we have our legislative report.
I got nothing.
Hey, we're moving speed of light now. All right, and how about the foundation? All right, here we go.
I have an update from Amy McDonald, so I'm just going to read off this list. We awarded over $18,000 in innovative teaching grants. JE has already received the Joyride Tiger.
It's a tiger and it like rides around. The kids can sit
His
on
name
it.
is Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Jeffy.
Is this like the thing at the mall?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
I love it.
Okay.
You need to
It's
go
exactly what it
check
is.
it out.
Are we allowed to ride?
Yeah.
Yeah, adults can be on
You
it.
have to sign a waiver.
Blanchard received the Kruger Pottery Wheel. Central Middle School received instruments. Terry W. Kitchen Junior High. We've helped to expand esports and after-school programming for Game Club and Math Club. Dental hygiene kits have been delivered to Franklin and Jefferson. And our largest fundraiser is Saturday, February 8th at 6 p.m. It is the Penguin Party. We hope that you all can come. We are currently looking for auction items, sponsorships, and table sales. So it's going to be a good time. It always is. I mean, if you want to buy a table, you probably can.
Just bring it with you.
Tough times.
Thank you. Up next, under our non-action items, we have the first reading of various board policies. I'll give you at least the policy and title of that policy. Sent out previously for your review. This is the first reading. Policy EBBC, lactation support. Policy GBE, staff health and safety. Policy GDBDA, support staff leaves updated. Policy IGBE-1, students in foster care. Policy JFCL, A+ scholarship program. Policy GB-1, part-time and substitute employment. Policy GCBDA, professional staff short-term leaves. Policy IGBA-1, special education. Policy ILA, test integrity and security. And policy JG, student discipline. Up next, we have the approval of the consent agenda items also sent out previously for your review board. We have minutes from September 23rd, 24 and October 28th, 24. Payment of bills, approval of lease for parking at Central Academy, which we talked about upstairs, and the approval of the easement grant to the city of Cape Girardeau. Any questions? Can I get a motion to approve those items?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Cook, is it Dr. Fagley? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Thank you. And up next, we have the business portion of our meeting this evening. And the item up is to accept the 23-24 audit report. Before we jump in, I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to Ms. Dudek. I know a lot of time and effort and consideration goes into this. We met with the auditor once again upstairs, and we are one of, I would say, probably few districts that come back with such a clean report as it is. So I know a lot of effort goes in that with everyone, Dr. Binion, Ms. Dudek especially. Thank you all and appreciate your time on this. And I'll turn it over.
So Patrick Kittner, our auditor, gave a presentation upstairs. I'm just going to kind of give a brief overview of the audit process. So our audit really starts in September. Patrick comes on site, and the things that he is looking at is he is auditing attendance, transportation, food service, our federal grants, and he's auditing the district's finances, specifically looking at our payroll, our accounts payable, so our check disbursements going out, accounts receivable, check disbursements coming in, and he is going through the entire ledger and reconciling out all the bank accounts and cash. So it is a big undertaking, and certainly appreciate all his hard work. And the district was issued an unqualified opinion, which in non-accounting terms means that it is a clean opinion, and no weaknesses or findings were identified or reported, and we were found to be in compliance with all statutory and federal guidelines. So certainly want to thank everyone who is involved in the audit process, which there is a lot of people here in our district, and it is a testament to them and how much they care about their job and how knowledgeable they are of their job.
Thank you. Apologize for jumping right into the discussion, but the recommendation pretty clearly is to accept the 2023-24 audit report prepared by Stanley Dernberger, Hopper and Associates, LLC. Can I get a motion? We'll have any further discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Cook, Dr. Fagley, any other questions or discussion? Thank you again. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Audit report is approved. Thank you again. Lastly, we have information and proposals from board members. Do we have anything else this
I
evening?
want to say something about the Central Academy ribbon cutting, December 3rd.
December 3rd, thank you, is the Central Academy ribbon cutting. So please join us on that date. It's a beautiful building. That is a Tuesday.
6 p.m.
Okay, at 6 p.m. If you have not had the opportunity to make it out to the new Central Academy at the Red Star location, it is beautiful. They have so much space. We've talked about it a lot here, but would love for you guys to not only see it in person, but to celebrate the ribbon cutting. So thank you. Anybody else? If not, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Cook, Dr. Fagley, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.